We've got breaking news from the White House this morning that an hour from now, when the president speaks to CPAC at the Gaylord Hotel down there in Oxon Hill, just south of Washington, D.C., he will announce a new package of sanctions on North Korea. This is being described to Fox News by White House officials as, quote, a massive package of sanctions, the biggest yet. And then that will be followed, the president's speech, by the Treasury Secretary will be in the briefing room and add a greater level of detail and granularity to this new package of sanctions that will be against the Pyongyang regime. The president will be talking tough about North Korea this morning. Yesterday, it was his deputy, the vice president, who was talking tough at CPAC, explaining why at the opening ceremonies 2 weeks ago at the Olympics he did not applaud the North Korean delegation. Listen here.
For all those in the media who think I should have stood and cheered with the North Koreans, I say the United States of America doesn't stand with murderous dictatorships. We stand up to murderous dictatorships.
And, of course, we'll be carrying the president's speech live this morning so you can see the news that he makes on North Korea. The president's speech this morning is also going to focus on the Douglas High School shooting, gun safety, and what can be done to avoid such things in the future. The president voicing support for improved background checks. You heard just a moment ago raising the minimum age to buy a rifle to 21 from 18. That would match rifle sales with the age needed to buy a handgun. And also arming trained individuals at schools to act as a first line of defense if a shooter gets in. The president insisting schools are soft targets that need to be hardened. Listen here.
You have teachers that are Marines for 20 years and they retire, they become a teacher, and they're Army, Navy, Air Force, they're Coast Guard, they're people that have won shooting contests, and they're for whatever. This is what they do. They know guns. They understand guns. I think we need hardened sights. We need to let people know, you come into our schools, you're going to be dead, and it's going to be fast. And unless you do that, you're going to always have this problem.
And clearly, the president's got very strong opinions on that particular aspect of what he believes is something that could make schools safe. He gets a lot of opposition to it, though, even though some schools in America already are doing this, but on a very limited basis. I'm also told this morning that the president not likely to mention this news that we got, Sandra, about this Broward sheriff's deputy who stayed outside the school, even though he was armed and had been a school resource officer at Marjory Stoneman Douglas since 2009. While the carnage was going on inside the school. Sandra?
And as we know, he has now resigned. John, clearly this is going to be a wide-ranging speech by the president set to begin about 1 hour from now. What else do we know the president's going to be talking about?
He's going to spend a lot of time talking about immigration, in particular the threat from the notorious MS-13 gang. This is something that the president was talking about yesterday as well, lamenting the fact that California has got these sanctuary cities. At the same time, there is a huge gang problem coming across the border. So the president yesterday issuing a threat to pull ICE agents out of California. Listen here.
If we ever pulled our ICE out, if we ever said, hey, let California alone, let them figure it out for themselves, in 2 months they'd be begging for us to come back. They would be begging. And you know what? I'm thinking about doing it.
Truth be told, there is no plans for the president to pull ICE agents out of California, but the president clearly has a burr under his saddle when it comes to California and these sanctuary cities. The president also taking aim this morning at Democrats over DACA, tweeting, quote, for those of you who are still interested, the Democrats have totally forgotten about DACA. Not a lot of interest on this subject from them. I'm told he's also going to go after Nancy Pelosi for her comments yesterday that one way to improve border security would be to take a lawnmower and cut the grass.